So today we are talking about building your minimum viable product. Quick recap. So for our Cocoon pitch template, actually there's 10 elements. And today we are going to cover 3, 4, 5 highlights of solutions, timing, and products. Okay, so what is minimum viable product? Anyone have any thoughts about what is minimum viable product? If you have any thoughts, feel free to type at the chat room. Let me know. Anyone? What is an MVP? And you may have heard of like alpha version, beta version. Okay, prototype, yeah. Okay, I guess maybe you guys are shy. No worries. So let's take a look at the definition. Okay, I'll test to Maria. Thank you, Emma. So here is a definition. So somebody interpreted. Oh, I see. Tool also say a product version close to functionless or production, but just for final validation. Yeah, close makes sense. So here take a look of our suggestion definition. So minimum viable products enable a startup to learn what the user is willing to pay for and grow its product and service offering quickly. And also, a minimum viable product is a version of a product with just enough features to be usable by early customer who can then provide feedback for future product development. I guess here the keywords is you get user feedback from your minimum viable product. So let's take a look at this image. So right now I have an idea is I want to make a moving vehicle. And my first prototype may be 2 wheels plus a board. And then my user tell me they need to have some styling, then I add a flag. I keep asking my user for feedback. They may say, I want it looks modern, cool, safe. And finally, here is my car. We do not have definite formula or answer to calculate how many versions should I make before I can claim it as my MVP. But we want to help you think that an MVP actually is very useful for you to get your potential user feedbacks so you can improve and iterate your product to what your user would love. Let's take a look of another definition of MVP. So a version of a new product which allows a team to collect the maximum amount of validated learning about customer with the least effort. So validating meanings. Learning means to run an experiment to validate a hypothesis. I believe many of you, when working on your own service or product, you have some assumptions or hypotheses. MVP helps you to validate it. And here about customer means that when you run experiments, you should focus on your customer reaction instead of only focus on the product. And finally, with least offer. So does anyone know why would it be important for entrepreneurs to run experiments with the least offer possible? So you can type at the chat box. Why? How to make it least effort? Anyone at 10? Oh, I see it. Cost saving, exactly. So why we have to do that? Because to save resources, because time is money. In case your hypothesis or understand, in this case, your hypothesis or understanding of your potential user are wrong or inaccurate, then you have resources to iterate it. So before you build the MVP, think about the below 3 points. Understand the business need, find the opportunities, and decide what features to build. All of these steps should be part of product definition for any project. However, following these steps will help you identify and prioritize features in a manner that allows you to confidently outline what you need to ship a valuable version of your product. So when we talk about understanding the business needs, try to write down your long-term goal. The goal should be driven by a problem that needs to be solved. If you are not sure how to identify a problem, go back to our lesson 2 and take a look of the empathy map and the iceberg model. Those materials have been uploaded to our online community. Secondly, ask yourself, why are we doing this project? Who are you building this product for? Define your end user and outline their needs, motivations, and pain points. Next, we want to identify the success criteria that will demonstrate whether or not the product will be successful. So far, any questions? Good. Okay, then we move on to define the opportunities. The purpose of this exercise is to identify the opportunities and determine how you can most effectively add values and solve pain points. First, try to map out the user journeys. You have to identify the user, list out the action they need to do in order to achieve your desired end story, which is your goal. Okay, let's take Airbnb as an example. Here, identify the user. For Airbnb, the user are house owner. And write down the story ending. At Airbnb, they hope the house owner can upload beautiful pictures on their platform and ready to lease. And the house owner need to fill in the description, set the facilities, show the location. So you need your user to put as much as information they can. Okay, so let's practice. Right now we will send out link, which is a Miro board, an interactive board that you can click and then fill in your customer journey. So we will have like 3 minutes for you to try. So here's the link at the chat box. Try to click that one. So when you are at Miro board, it will be, you can zoom out using your drag panel, or at your left-hand corner, you will see the number. You can adjust over there. Search for your team name, just drag, and then search for your team number, and double click the box and type your answer over there. Let's start counting 3 minutes for you to try to fill out your customer journey. Let me know if you have any difficulties in using the Miro board. This is our first time to use this one together with you all. And we will be uploading more Miro board on there, so you can fill it in. Like we will upload the one-liner and the iceberg model later on, so you can fill in. Okay, I see the cursor moving around. If you forgot your group number, simply choose any template which is empty, and then you can use that. I guess you guys can zoom in a little bit and then double click the name your user or type in the actions, and then you can type. Is everyone got? So I see some of you trying to fill it in, and then we have group 70A viewing your user, supervisor, inspector. Okay. Okay, looks like everyone managed to use it. Yes, correct. So when you do, who is your user? So try to think of one user first, and then think of that user story ending, and then you fill in your goal, and then specific tasks he or she, your user, need to do to achieve that ending goal. Okay, so we do not have enough time for you, but you can keep continuing doing this after the class. So let's move on. Okay, after you have the user journey and action which you require your user to do, then we will create a pain and gain map for each section. We use Airbnb again. Now the user is required to do these three things. For example, fill in the description, snap the facilities, and show the location. What are the pain for the user? So maybe the process of uploading their information is tedious as they have to fill in the forms, snap photos, and the photos maybe not accurately portray their property. Then what about the gain? The gain is they can successfully lease the house and get extra incomes. So when you list out all the pains and gain, you can count it and see if you have enough gains to cover the pain. All right, now you have a list of action and a list of corresponding pain and gains. There are a number of methods to summarize pains and gains, and we would like to introduce you one of the methods, the format by using how might we. So for example, how might we make the system or the form easier to fill in, to complete, or how might we help users take beautiful photos of their house? And how might we encourage the user filling more relevant information of their house? So the opportunity statement will reflect the speed and gains you have identified for your products. You guys are good? Okay. And finally, decide what features to build. It is normal that you want to build in all the things in your products. I know many of you love the words only solution, one-stop shop, all in one. However, everyone got 24 hours, and you as a startup, you have limited resources as well. So think about which features can create high impact and they are in high urgency. That should be your MVP features. Using the opportunity statement, finalize what features you want to build out. In this stage, transform your how might we statement into an actionable feature sentence. Okay, now I hope the above method can help you systematically design your MVP. And at tonight's workshop, we will have more creative muscle training and work together on this MVP practice. Okay, let's pass the time to Erica.
Hi, everyone. Erica here again. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, terrific. So in this final part of today's presentation, I'm going to talk about putting together your pitch template. So Nancy spent the first half of our class talking about how to build a product. So once you have built a product, then within your pitch template, the one where you're going to tell investors about what you're doing, we need you to cover three things. Number one is the highlights of the solution, like what's special about your product. Number two is timing. Why is now an important time to be doing this product? And number three, we're going to deep dive into specifically how to talk about the different features and functionality of your product. So just a quick poll. I want to get to know the class a little bit better. How many of you have product made already? You can type it in the chat box. It will help us to kind of study up on all the teams and just get to know how you guys are doing. All right. All right. Hey, Ed, thank you. Great. Okay. No worries, Will. So Will, definitely, like, we're going to post the recording of today's class online later, and tonight's class with the practical building your minimum viable product process will be great for teams that have not built a product to consider building their product. Hey, Buds Alike. Hi, Michelle. Building the MVP. Okay, cool. We want to learn about your MVP soon. Okay. Okay. Proof of concept. Great. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Good to know. Come on to the next slide. We are going to be talking about the highlights of the solution. So when it comes to the highlights of the solution, we really want to talk about value proposition, because investors want to know, what are you proposing that's valuable to your customer that other people have not? Is this cheaper? Is this faster? Is this like a new way of doing an old thing? And more importantly, talk about what your core innovation is. How is this Uber different from all the other Ubers out there? How is your version of Deliveroo different from the Food Panda and the Uber Eats out there? Both your investor and your customer always wants to know, what is your core innovation? How does using your product help them make money or save money? And going back to what Nancy just said about use case. So use cases are really, really important. We need to really understand how a user could be using your product. Back to the Airbnb example that Nancy shared. So Airbnb is actually at least has two use cases. First, the use case is me as an owner of a space or property owner. I want to take good pictures of my apartment. I want to make sure that I have nice cushions and nice pillows, because that is my way of selling my room or selling my apartment, renting it out at a higher rate, and also with more nights per year. And then the second use case is the renter, the one who is actually renting the room or the apartment. So that person is looking for the best price, the perfect proximity, the best local experience. They want to be able to try local food, be able to blend into the neighborhood. So even in like an Airbnb situation, there are already two very distinct use cases. And being able to talk about your use case within your pitch deck is really important, because at any point in time, whether you're applying for a grant or applying for investor money, your investors have probably heard of your idea, maybe 5, 10, 100 times. They want to hear about how yours is different and how well you've thought about the details within the use case. All right, so in this slide, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of time as well to take a look at how we dissect the highlights of the solution. What are the key benefits? How is it different from what's in the market? And can you think of at least one or two use cases? Maybe there are more. Most products out there these days are two-sided. There's always like a two-sided market, someone buying, someone selling. Maybe there's more. Like, for example, if you're in education technology, there are different segments of the market. What a student thinks, what a parent thinks, what a teacher thinks, what a school thinks. Everybody has a different agenda. So you need to be able to cover the use cases within your pitch. Okay, timing. If there is one thing I really, really want you guys to take away from the entire pitch deck, it's timing. Timing matters the most when it comes to technology startups. Timing is everything. If you're at the right time doing the right thing, your solution can be half-baked and it'll still be awesome, okay? So it's really important to talk about Why now? Why is 2021, 2022 the perfect time to do what you're about to do? Talk about how people solved this problem before, how people are solving for it now. How much are people willing to pay for it now? And if they were able to use your product, how much money they could save, how much more money they could make, or how ready is the market for it? How ready is the market for it? And typically, timing lines up with some kind of trend, some kind of technology trend that has already been paved, that has already happened out there. Let me give you an example. So we've been looking at like cryptocurrencies for about 5 years now. But when we first looked at it, there were very few people who even had a crypto wallet. But nowadays, most people have a crypto wallet. So when we talk about crypto exchanges, now's the perfect time. So that's an example of how timing matters. So explain why now. Why is your product important now for the market? And in a market like Hong Kong and Southeast Asia, it's also really, really important to address user readiness. Are users ready to use a digitized version of something that they did sort of in the physical world previously? People were seeing doctors face to face all along. Now suddenly telemedicine makes sense because they're ready for it. Everybody has a Zoom account. Everybody is comfortable with having meetings online. So that is an example of how ready is your customer. And the last thing I want to talk about on product today is deep diving into the functional and ecological features of your product, the science and the uniqueness. So a little bit of unpacking. Functionality is about how your product works. What does it do? How does it solve a problem? Ecology is about how your product connects its users. So a lot of people are now selling enterprise technology. So an enterprise solution connects all the teammates within the company to using a product. So if you work in this company, you're not using Zoom, for example, and you cannot even join in on the meetings. So the ecology of a product impacts the growth path of how your investor will see your company growing. Are you building in the ecological features for users to connect and for one user to derive more value as the second and third and fourth user come online? So that's the ecological feature. And the functional feature is, how do you make something more productive? How do you optimize the productivity? How do you save costs, save time, and be able to output more results? Now, we also meet a lot of founders who know something that other people don't know. If you are that kind of founder, like if you know something about your category of business, if you have experience about your business that other people don't know, definitely put it in this slide. Tell people whether it's the science or the art, something that you know about your business category that other people don't know, where you have insights in, and you put your insights inside your product. So you know, if, for example, in the Airbnb situation, you know that if you sell a certain type of apartment or one bedroom rental in Bali, and you have a unique access to that pool of inventory, then put that in here. Or if your machine learning algorithm is able to understand a type of data that other people have not been able to understand before or has not been researching on before, put that in here, because it helps an investor understand how you are able to defend your product in the long run, even if people try to copy you. At the end of the day, it's all about uniqueness. I walk into a lot of investor meetings where I hear, oh, it's the same thing. I've seen like 10 of those, or I've seen 20 of those. It's the same. There's nothing special about it. So you need to find a way within this slide to be able to inform your investor how you're different, how you've thought about how the product can be different, and how the user case can be different, and how you can defend it with what you know that other people don't know. So I'm going to give you guys 3 minutes to quickly synthesize kind of what we just talked about in terms of the core value proposition of your product. What is special about it? And also, why is it important now? Why does the world need this now? So 3 minutes, we're going to start the timer now. And we've also posted a prompt on the online platform, which we just shared in the chat. So feel free to share your thoughts there. Nancy and I will be reading them and also sharing comments. And we'll also be staying back at the end of class to go through them. If anyone wants to chat with us about their product, you can do so. But first, post your thoughts on the online platform. We have about 2.5 minutes before we wrap up this portion of the presentation and invite the founder in to share a pitch. And if you guys have any questions while you're writing or creating, feel free to turn on your mic in your video or share your questions in the chat box.
All right, feel free to let us know if you have any questions. If everyone are good, then we move on to our today's one of the highlights. So today we are excited to have invited Daniel to come and share his pitch with us. So Daniel started his career as a software developer, but soon joined the banking industry to gain more business skills like project management and product management. Besides Singapore, he has worked in Hong Kong for 4 years, where he met his group of advisor and angel investor. He went back to Singapore to create a startup with the support of a government grant. And after 2 years of piloting MVP, he found that education was a sector that needed the solution the most, named it as Circle. So let me pass the time to Daniel to share more with us.
Hi, thank you. I'm Daniel, and I'm the founder of Socle. So I'll start pitching right away. So Socle is like TikTok, but for education. So let's talk about what that means. So we focus on video assessments. So what are video assessments? Is any videos that your teachers ask you to upload as a part of your assessments homework. So it could be speaking, role play, or some science activities. So this is an example in Thailand. So one of our users, Ray, he's from Thammasat University, and he's a communications lecturer. He asks students to he needs a way to get students to be more self-motivated, more self-directed, and also engaged. So he asked students to upload videos on Socle. and they watch it peer-to-peer, watch content peer-to-peer for ideas and inspiration. So what do we want users to do? We have this copyright thing where copy is right. So we want students to learn from each other and do better. And in sense, have this monkey see, monkey do concept. So we are in between this formal and informal concept. So we are student generated. So we are like literally like TikTok or Instagram, and we help students to generate content for the class. So in a nutshell, existing tools that teachers have been using, for example, YouTube has been there's a lot of limitations like sharing the link on email, there's giving feedback on email, which is very, very manual, and it's just not very engaging. And social learning is a trend, is a big thing nowadays for 21st century learning, because communication, problem solving is a huge thing in education. Most of our users are in language, science, and business because they want to use videos to capture their learning experiences better. So this is an example of how the app works. You swipe up, you can see videos, you can like a post, you can add comments. We support pictures, videos, PDF, and we also, teachers can give private feedback, and it's all private. So there's no live streaming. It's up to 5-minute videos, and content is all secured on AWS and Google Cloud. Our main selling point here, all of this information that's generated in the application, both on the mobile, is actually shown to the teacher in the form of learning analytics on a website. So this data is not in any other app out there in terms of social learning. If you use Facebook or YouTube, none of them give data to the teacher to better improve their teaching outcomes. So these are our users in 4 countries. Most of them are in language, and some of them are in science and business. So you can see in Hong Kong, we have Lingnan and HKUST. In upcoming semester, I do have some professors in CUHK as well. So where are we going with this? So e-learning is big, mobile learning is big as well. We are focusing on social learning, one on the bottom right. So this peer-to-peer learning concept in a social media style. So our business model, we want the schools to pay, and most of them are doing it through academic research. So we use academic research method to try and create a safe space for the teachers to try, but also get paid for it, to also do an academic research to show and document that there's a learning outcome and benefit. We are actually trying to build more recommendations, more learning analytics, so that students and the teachers can better understand where to go, and from a teacher standpoint, which content to focus on when they're teaching. Our last study shows an 8 to 12% improvement in grades, and students also report that they're more motivated and engaged. So this is just a map so that people can see where are we going and how do we convert universities from a pilot to a small research grant to a medium, and then eventually get to a subscription. It takes years, which is why we take a longer time from a sales cycle, sometimes 1 to 2 years to get to a subscription level. I'm a solo founder. I am from JP Morgan previously. I've been a product manager, but thankfully I'm also tech trained, so I can build software, and I'm doing both sides for this product. But most of my teams includes my extended users. My users are my extended team rather, and they help me to apply for grants, credits within their own universities to help me to spread and to improve my product. So I'm looking for professors and lecturers who are students to create videos. So if you guys are students and you have professors who are asking you to upload videos, and you're using YouTube and it's very manual and it's very, very cumbersome, and you think that there are professors who like to do this kind of thing or would love to do research for it, please reach out to me. I would love to contact. I'm trying to do more in CUHK as well. So thank you so much for the time, for the chance to share, and I'll love to answer any questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Daniel. So anyone have questions, feel free to type at the chat box or just unmute yourself. So I particularly like Daniel's presentation is he has the show and tell elements. So he used his slide to assist his presentation. So some of the startup would love to have extra information on your slide, and then when you're presenting it, you have another set of information. But at that time, that will be too much information as an audience. So bear in mind that when you're doing presentation, slide is always your tools to assist your presentation. So show and tell, and then your speech. Okay, let's see any questions. Okay, we've got one question from Wei Hin. How you spot this niche and opportunity?
It took me 2 years actually. So we had to pivot. Like I had to do an MVP. I had 10 different MVPs before we got here. So in the beginning, we went HR. We went. So I was one of those have a solution, don't really know what's the problem. We have a big idea. We have a goal. We have a dream. Don't really know where and how to fit it. So we had to find the teachers, we had to find the users with the biggest problems. And I was lucky to get some exhibitions whereby we met some professors and lecturers and they were like, hey, this is really interesting. And almost every one of those schools in Singapore loved it. And how do you pitch those universities? I reached out to them through students. That's number one. So students refer me. So I call it insider selling. So the students sell to their professors. I do it through conferences, exhibitions. As we are doing research, the research itself is a way to market to universities, and then through that, I find internally find ways to monetize.
Okay, we have one question from Paul. So did the investor query about your sole owner decision at the beginning?
Not that they told me, but maybe it influenced them. But it is a problem. It is a problem sometimes. So one of my mistakes was that I focused on listening to my advisors, and I thought that they would be the ones who are my team. But actually, I needed to get some co-founders, but it was a bit too late.
Wow.
Someone raise a hand.
Oh yeah, Emma is raising her. Emma, you want to go?
Yes. Thank you for the sharing. So my question is about the last part. So look for the professor to encourage the student to create videos. So may I know more about that? Why look for the professors and how the videos will be used in this app, in this in the business?
Okay, so one of the things, so you know, like for companies who are doing a lot of fintech, a lot of times there's this safe, sort of like the ministry, sometimes they'll create this sandbox environment, and then the startups can go in and experiment, trial in a safe environment. The schools don't often have it, but there's one secret tip there, which is the professors do get research grants, and those research grants allow me to experiment in the school, in a safe environment. And they have to set up all of these different methods and ethics as well, and legal and all those kind of things. So the professors help me to penetrate and go into the market. So that's one of the reasons. And those professors give me funding as well to do it. So they pay me to experiment and do a pilot in their universities, and then they do a paper to say that it works. So I get marketing and get funding for it as well.
Oh, okay. So the professor have to pay for
as part of the research. So for example, so most of the time, like 30% of the funding for the research project is actually attributed to me. But I solve a problem there because a lot of time the professors struggle with technology. They don't have a tech partner and they have to depend on, for example, ITSC to go and build a product for them. But then it's not, there's no good way to maintain it, and there's a lot of these different problems. So I give a better product, I can make it a $1 million outcome for the research that otherwise they wouldn't have been able to do.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And we have one question from MK, and then your company is break even now, and what is the difficult problem in your ventures? And also we'll also ask, how do you prioritize your time as a solo founder?
Break even is about being break even is all about your financial discipline. Being able to obviously spend less than you get. So in this case, I got grants. Thankfully, the Singapore government has some good grants, even for overseas marketing expenses. So I'm able to claim back a lot of it. So I just have to make sure that whatever that if I'm spending, I must have money to kind of. But of course, there's a kind of gray line on get investment and things like that. So I need to prove that I can get more revenues before I can get more money in. So that will be the part about that. How do I prioritize my time as a solo founder? I have to do like maybe one thing at a time. I have to focus on one area and one segment at a time. I have to focus on what is right. So I have to focus on, at this point of time for me, my focus is on revenue. So finding the right universities, so not all universities have research, for example. So some universities, for example, like HKUST, they have like, I've seen $1 million research before. And so I'll focus on the right universities instead of any university. But at some point before that, I was focusing on a product. So I can only do one thing at a time. Otherwise, my brain will go crazy.
Okay. Any further questions? So if there is one tip you can provide our class on how to win an investor attention, what would it be? Win the investor attention.
make sure you have an MVP that works, and there is some proof that someone's going to pay for it. That's it. So if you can go to invest, I mean, if you are early stage, right, like super early stage, if you can build a product and you can and you have a solid team that shows that the product is not paid for by an agency, for example, you actually built it yourself within your team, and then you're actually able to show that, oh, I have customers or people on the streets to kind of and say that, hey, this is going to be paid for. I already got money in my pocket. Or even better, if you got money already in your pocket, and then you can also prove that this is going to scale. This can hit a certain amount of dollars, because sometimes like agency business, you can get some cash, but you can't really scale. You have like maybe 10, 20 clients, 30 clients. You can earn more, but there's only a limited number of businesses around the world who will pay you, or rather in your space who can pay you. So get your MVP right, get customers to pay you, and prove that you can pay you, and then show that you can scale.
Thank you, Daniel. So MVP is very important. So make sure that if you're not sure how to build your MVP, come to our evening workshop. Make sure you reserve your time. So before we go, so let's take a group photos together with Daniel. So if you are available, turn on your camera. Let's take a group photos together. So 10 seconds for you to turn on camera. Make sure you look good, the best angle. Okay, let's have our mission to all it. Let me go on the count. Okay, 1, 2, 3, cheese. Hold a bit because we have a few pages. Oh, good. Okay, thank you, everyone. So before you go, reminder, tonight we will have our offline workshop at our Cocoon office at Causeway Bay. And on Thursday, we will have our Cocoon pitch. This time we have invited 4 teams to come and present their ideas. So it will start same time, 12 to 1. Here is the link at the chat box. Make sure that you register and then you can come and listen to it. And tonight we will have our workshop, and on next Monday, on the 23rd, then we will talk about find the product market fit. So make sure you mark your calendar. And for those who haven't registered for tonight class, please leave your name here at the chat room or reply my email so I can prepare your handouts. Okay? So thank you everyone for joining us for this afternoon. Enjoy your day, and I will be here for like 5 more minutes to see if you guys have any questions. Thank you everyone. Bye. Thank you, Daniel. Bye.